Jake Morrison stood quietly in the back of the massive room. The walls were made of crystal that sparkled like diamonds. Light came through them in soft colors that moved like water. He had been to the Galactic Council building many times, but it still made him feel small. The room was bigger than any stadium on Earth. Next to him, Dr. Lisa Carter checked her tablet for the third time. She was nervous. Jake could tell because she always touched her hair when she worried. Lisa had spent 3 years working with alien species. She was good at her job, but today felt different. Another boring meeting, Jake whispered to her. Same reports, same peaceful updates. Lisa nodded but did not smile. I hope so, she said. Around them, beings from 47 different worlds filled the chamber. Some looked almost human, but with blue skin or extra arms. Others were completely strange. There was a creature that looked like a walking tree. Another group seemed to be made of living metal. They all talked in soft voices through translation devices that hung in the air above their heads. At the front of the room, a huge display showed a map of the galaxy. It was beautiful. Thousands of dots in different colors marked the known worlds. Most were green, which meant peaceful. Some were blue for worlds that were still growing and learning. A few yellow dots showed places under council protection. Jake remembered his first day here 2 years ago. Commander Peters had brought him to this same room. Look at that map, Morrison, Peters had said. Green as far as you can see. That's what real peace looks like. Now Jake was the human representative. It was a good job, even if it was mostly watching and taking notes. Humans were still new to the council. They had only been members for 5 years. Most of the time, the other species forgot humans were. Even there, Speaker Veltar moved to the center platform. She was from the water world of Nereid. Her skin was silver and seemed to flow like liquid. When she spoke, her voice sounded like gentle waves. Welcome, friends, Veltar said. Today, we review the peace reports from all sectors. One by one, representatives stood and gave their updates. The tree-like beings from Sector 7 reported good trade with their neighbors. The metal people from Sector 12 had finished building a new school for young species. A cat-like race from Sector 20 had discovered 3 new types of healing plants. Jake wrote notes even though his computer was recording everything. It helped him stay awake. These meetings were always the same. Good news, peaceful progress, happy cooperation. Sometimes he wondered if anything exciting ever happened in this part of the galaxy. Sector 15 reports successful first contact with the Gentle Ones of Harmony Planet, announced a blue-skinned delegate. They communicate through music and have already shared 17 new songs of friendship. The chamber filled with soft sounds of approval. The council loved stories like this. Jake had heard dozens of them. Every new species they met was peaceful. Every first contact went perfectly. Sometimes he wondered if his own species was the only one that had ever fought wars. Dr. Carter nudged him. Pay attention, she whispered. They're starting the automatic scan. The automatic scan happened at the end of every meeting. The central computer checked all known worlds for changes. It looked for new civilizations, dangerous space weather, or anything that might need council attention. In 3 years, it had never found anything interesting. The galaxy map began to glow brighter. Slowly, each sector flashed as the computer checked it. Sector 1, all clear. Sector 2, all clear. The process would take about 10 minutes to cover the entire known galaxy. Jake watched the pretty lights and thought about dinner. The council cafeteria served food from 20 different worlds. Today he wanted to try the purple fruit from Zeta Prime. Lisa said it tasted like chocolate and strawberries mixed together. Sector 25 flashed green. All clear. Sector 26 did the same. The computer was almost finished. Soon they could all go home. Then something went wrong. The computer stopped. The gentle hum that filled the chamber went quiet. Even the translation devices seemed to pause. Jake looked up from his notes. On the massive display, one word appeared in bright red letters. Earth. The letters were huge, impossible to miss. They flashed 3 times, then stayed on the screen. Below them, more words appeared. Threat level classification. Maximum. Jake felt his blood turn cold. Every being in the chamber turned to look at the human section. 47 different species, with eyes and sensors, and whatever they used to see, all focused on him and Lisa. That can't be right, Lisa whispered. Her face was white. Speaker. Veltar's flowing voice filled the silence. Computer. Confirm classification. The red words flashed again. New text appeared. Classification confirmed. Species, human, homeworld, Earth. Threat assessment. Class X. Immediate action required. Class X was the highest threat level in the Council system. Jake had read about it in training, but he had never seen it used. It was reserved for species that could destroy other civilizations. Species that were, too, dangerous to exist. The chamber erupted in sounds. Not the gentle approval from before, but worried clicks, hisses, and musical notes that sounded afraid. The tree-like beings swayed like they were in a strong wind. The metal people's surfaces began to shine brighter. There must be a mistake, Jake said, but his voice was lost in the noise. High Arbiter Keshlin rose from his seat. He was 12 feet tall and made of living crystal. When he moved, light bent around him in strange ways. His voice cut through all other sounds. Emergency session. Now. The chamber began to empty as delegates rushed toward the exit. Some looked back at Jake and Lisa with expressions he could not read. Fear? Anger? Curiosity? It was hard to tell with alien faces. Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. "We need to call Earth," she said. "We need to warn them." But as they tried to leave, 4 Council security guards blocked their path. They were tall, gray beings with too many arms. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. Jake Morrison and Lisa Carter, one of them said in perfect English. "You will come with us." "Are we under arrest?" Jake asked. The guard's large black eyes showed nothing. "You are under protection," it said, "until the Council decides what to do about your species." As they were led from the chamber, Jake saw the galaxy map one more time. All those peaceful green dots showing civilizations that had never known war. And now, flashing red in the middle of it all, was Earth. For the first time since joining the Council, Jake wondered if humanity really belonged here. Maybe they were different. Maybe they were dangerous. Maybe the computer was right. The thought scared him more than the guards or the emergency session or the red letters on the screen. Maybe humans really were a threat to this peaceful galaxy. The emergency room was smaller than the main chamber, but felt much more serious. Jake and Lisa sat at a metal table that seemed to be made from one solid piece. Around them, 7 of the Council's most important leaders formed a half circle. High Arbiter Keshlan stood in the center. His crystal body caught the light and threw rainbows on the walls. To his right sat War Minister Torgak, a heavy creature that looked like a walking mountain with eyes. To his left, Defense Coordinator Shelia moved her tentacles in patterns that Jake guessed meant she was thinking hard. "Let us begin," Keshlin said. His voice was like breaking glass, sharp and clear. "Computer, display Earth files." A new screen appeared in the air above the table. At first it showed Earth from space, blue and white and beautiful. Then the images began to change. Jake watched his home planet's history unfold in pictures and numbers. Wars with swords and arrows. Wars with guns and cannons. Wars with bombs that could destroy entire cities. The screen showed millions of soldiers marching. It showed weapons that could kill from miles away. It showed machines built only for destroying other machines. Your species has fought 14,000 recorded wars, Coordinator Shelia said. Her tentacles moved faster now. In the last 100 years alone, you have created weapons that could destroy your entire planet. Lisa leaned forward. But we stopped, she said. We haven't had a major war in 50 years. We formed the Global Defense Alliance. We unified our governments. Yes, rumbled War Minister Torgak. After you invented weapons that made war too dangerous to fight. The screen changed again. Now it showed human technology. Factories that could build 1 million cars in a month. Computers that could solve problems faster than any other species in the galaxy. Medical devices that could bring people back from near death. Impressive, said Keshlan, but look closer. The images zoomed in. The car factory could make tanks instead. The computers could guide weapons to targets anywhere on a planet. The medical knowledge could create diseases as easily as cure them. Jake felt sick. Everything humanity was proud of could be turned into something terrible. He had never thought about it that way before. A door opened and Admiral Pete Rodriguez walked in. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. Jake had met him twice before. Rodriguez was Earth's main representative to the Council's military committee. Admiral, Keshlan said, your arrival is timely. Rodriguez sat down next to Lisa. He looked around the room and then at the screen, which now showed human spaceships. Even their civilian ships looked aggressive compared to the flowing designs of other species. I see you've been reviewing our history, Rodriguez said. I suppose this is about the threat classification. Your species concerns us, said Coordinator Shelia. In 5 years of membership, humans have solved 127 technical problems that other species could not. You have created new medicines that saved 3 million alien lives. Your art and music have enriched dozens of cultures. That sounds positive, Rodriguez said carefully. It is, Shelia continued. But every solution you create could also be a weapon. Your medicines could become poisons. Your manufacturing techniques could build armies. Your creativity could design new ways to destroy. War Minister Torgak pulled up another display. The Kelrith Empire fought wars for 500 years before joining. The Council, they created weapons, but only for war. The Zorian Collective built machines to explore space, not to fight. The Gentle Ones of Harmony Planet never even invented the concept of violence. But humans, Torgak continued, humans have weaponized everything. You turn farming tools into weapons. You turned transportation into weapons. You turned communication into weapons. You even turned entertainment into psychological warfare. Jake wanted to argue, but he could not. Humans had done all of those things. Even now, Earth's military trained using video games. Sports teams studied their opponents like enemy armies. Business leaders read books about ancient war strategies. We've changed, Lisa said. We learned from our mistakes. Have you? Asked a new voice. Everyone turned. In the corner of the room stood someone Jake had never seen before. She was tall and thin with silver skin and large black eyes. When she moved, she seemed to flow like liquid metal. Security Chief Mordak, Keshlan said, please share your findings. Mordak moved to the center of the room. I have studied human behavior for 2 years, she said. You claim to be peaceful, but your nature remains unchanged. The screen showed new images. Human children playing with toy soldiers. Movies about heroes who solved problems by fighting. Sports where teams battled for victory. Video games where players competed to defeat enemies. Your entertainment glorifies conflict, Mordak said. Your children learn strategy through games. Of war, your leaders still think in terms of winning and losing, not cooperation. That's not fair, Jake said. Those are just games. Are they? Mordek asked. Your military trains using the same games your children play. Your business schools teach the same strategies your generals use. You say you have abandoned war, but you have only redirected it. Rodriguez stood up. Chief Mordok, with respect, you're looking at surface details. Yes, humans are competitive. Yes, we remember our history. But we've built a peaceful society. A peaceful society that could become a war machine in months, Mordok replied. Your factories could switch from making cars to making tanks. Your schools could train soldiers instead of doctors. Your entire civilization is one decision away from becoming the greatest military force this galaxy has ever seen. The room went quiet. Jake looked at the faces around him. Some showed fear. Others showed curiosity. A few looked angry. What happens now? Lisa asked. High Arbiter Keshland's crystal body grew brighter. The council has decided. Earth will be placed under observation. The enforcement vessel Eternal Harmony is already traveling to your system. Observation for how long? Rodriguez asked. Until we are satisfied that humanity poses no threat to galactic peace. And if you're not satisfied? Keshland's light dimmed. Then Earth will be quarantined. Permanently. Jake felt the word hit him like a physical blow. Quarantined meant cut off from the galaxy. No trade, no travel, no contact with other species. Humanity would be alone again, trapped in their own solar system. How long do we have? Rodriguez asked. The Eternal Harmony will arrive at Earth in 7 days, Mordok said. Commander Zulmoth will conduct a full evaluation of your species' commitment to peace. What kind of evaluation? Lisa asked. That, said Keshland, is not for you to know. Security. Guards appeared at the door. The same gray beings who had escorted them from the main chamber. You will be given transport back to Earth, Keshland said. You may warn your leaders, but you may not interfere with the evaluation process. As they were led from the room, Jake heard Mordok speaking to the other council members. They are dangerous because they do not know they are dangerous, she said. They believe their nature has changed, but change and control are not the same thing. A sleeping weapon is still a weapon. The door closed behind them, cutting off the rest of the conversation. Jake, Lisa, and Admiral Rodriguez found themselves in a hallway lined with more crystal walls. Well, Rodriguez said after a moment, this is not what I expected when I got up this morning. Can we stop this? Lisa asked. Rodriguez looked older than he had an hour ago. I don't know, he said, but we have 7 days to figure it out. Or what? Jake asked. Or humanity loses its place in the galaxy forever. They walked toward the transport bay in silence. Behind them, the crystal walls. Still threw rainbows on the floor, but the colors looked different now. Less beautiful. More like warnings. Jake thought about Earth, spinning peacefully in space, unaware that its entire future was about to be decided by aliens who saw humans as sleeping monsters. Maybe they were right to be afraid. The ship New Dawn cut through space faster than any human vessel had ever traveled. Captain Sam Harris kept his hands steady on the controls, but Jake could see the worry in his eyes. They had been flying for 3 days straight, pushing the engines to their limits. How much longer? Jake asked from the passenger seat. 6 hours to Earth, Sam replied. Maybe 5 if I can squeeze more power from the engines. Behind them, Lisa worked on her tablet, typing messages to Earth's government. Admiral Rodriguez sat across from her, speaking quietly into a secure communication device. Every few minutes, he would shake his head and try another frequency. Still no response from Earth Central Command, Rodriguez said. The Council must be blocking our signals. They want us to arrive at the same time as the inspection fleet, Lisa said. No advance warning. Jake looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, a eternal harmony was also racing toward Earth. A ship full of aliens who thought humanity was too dangerous to exist. He wondered what they would find when they got there. "Tell me about this Commander Zulmuth," Jake said. To Rodriguez, the Admiral's face darkened. "Enforcer Prime Zulmuth is the Council's top military officer. He's never lost a battle, never failed a mission. His species, the Vortai, are completely logical. They don't understand emotions like mercy or second chances." "Great," Sam muttered. "So he's not going to like us." "The Vortai judge species by their potential for violence," Rodriguez continued. "They believe that any species capable of war will eventually choose war." "But that's not true," Lisa said. "Look at the Kelrith Empire. They had wars for centuries, but they've been peaceful for 200 years. The Kelrith were conquered by the Council," Rodriguez said. "They didn't choose peace. They had peace forced on them. And us? We chose to join the Council. We chose to be peaceful. That makes us more dangerous in their eyes, because it means we could choose differently." The ship's computer announced their approach to Earth's solar system. Through the front window, Jake could see the familiar yellow light of the sun. It felt good to be coming home, even under these circumstances. "There," Sam pointed to a blue dot growing larger. "Earth." As they got closer, Jake could see the orbital stations that surrounded his home planet. There were hundreds of them now: research stations, manufacturing platforms, communication relays. It looked peaceful, but Jake knew that many of those stations could be converted to military use if needed. "New Dawn, this is Earth Traffic Control," came a voice over the radio. "You are not scheduled for arrival today. This is Admiral Rodriguez." "Aboard the New Dawn," the Admiral replied. "I need immediate clearance to land at Global Defense Headquarters." "Admiral, sir, we've been expecting you. Cleared for immediate landing. President Johnson is waiting." They landed on the roof of the Global Defense Building in New York. Jake had been there once before, but it still impressed him. The building was a crystal tower that reached into the clouds, almost like the council buildings, but more angular, more aggressive. President Mary Johnson met them at the landing pad. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Behind her stood General Ryan Clark, a tall man with a serious face and more medals than Jake could count. "Admiral," President Johnson said as they climbed out of the ship, "I assume this is about the red alert we received from the Council?" "It's worse than that, Madam President," Rodriguez replied. "The Council has classified Earth as a Class X threat. An inspection fleet is coming to evaluate whether we should be quarantined." General Clark stepped forward. "Quarantined? For what?" "For being human," Jake said. They moved inside to a conference room with windows that looked out over the city. New York spread below them, millions of people going about their daily lives. None of them knew that their entire future was about to be decided by aliens. "Explain," President Johnson said. Lisa opened her tablet and began to show them pictures. From the council meeting, the threat assessment, the historical data, the uncomfortable truth about human nature. "They're not wrong," General Clark said after seeing the military analysis. "We could mobilize for war faster than any species in the galaxy. Our entire industrial base is designed for rapid conversion." "But we won't," President Johnson said. "We chose peace." "They don't believe choice is permanent," Rodriguez explained. "They've seen too many species choose war when they felt threatened. And now they're threatening us to see if we'll choose war," the president said. "That's ironic." Dr. Amy Foster entered the room. She was Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, a woman who had spent years studying how different species thought. Her face was worried. "I've been analyzing the Council's decision," she said. "This isn't just about our history. It's about our potential." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Every other species in the Council is specialists," Dr. Foster explained. The Nereid are great at diplomacy, but terrible at manufacturing. The Vortai are excellent warriors, but can't create art. The Kelrith are builders, but not inventors. And humans? We're generalists. We can do everything. That makes us unpredictable. President Johnson stood up and walked to the window. How long do we have? The inspection fleet arrives in 3 days, Rodriguez said. What exactly will they inspect? We don't know. But based on Vertai methods, they'll try to provoke us. They'll create situations to test our reactions. General Clark pulled up a display showing Earth's defenses. Should we hide our military capabilities? No, Dr. Foster said quickly. They already know about them. Hiding them would make us look dishonest. And what do we do? Jake looked around the room at these powerful people trying to solve an impossible problem. Earth's leaders, the people, who had united the planet and brought peace to humanity, were as confused as he was. We show them who we really are, he said. Everyone turned to look at him. They think we're violent because we remember violence, Jake continued. They think we're dangerous because we understand danger. Maybe that's exactly what we need to show them. I don't follow, President Johnson said. Every other species in the council is peaceful because they never learned to be anything else, Jake explained. We're peaceful because we chose to be. That choice cost us something. It meant something. Dr. Foster nodded slowly. He's right. Our peace has value because we know what the alternative looks like. But how do we prove that to the Vortai? General Clark asked. Before anyone could answer, alarms began to sound throughout the building. Red lights flashed on the walls. A voice came over the intercom. All personnel to stations. Unknown vessels detected at the edge of the solar system. They ran to the main control room. The big screen showed a view of space beyond Pluto. 3. Ships hung in the darkness, unlike anything in Earth's fleet. They were long and narrow, with surfaces that seemed to bend light around them. The Eternal Harmony and her escorts, Rodriguez said. They're early. Are they hostile? General Clark asked. Unknown, came the reply from the sensor operator. They're not responding to our communications. They're watching, Dr. Foster said. This is already part of the test. President Johnson looked at the alien ships on the screen. Then let's give them something to watch. She pressed a button on the control panel. This is President Johnson to all Earth stations. Stand down from. Alert status. Resume normal operations. Our guests have arrived. Madam President, General Clark said, are you sure that's wise? General, if we're going to be judged on our peaceful intentions, we might as well start by being peaceful. The alien ships moved closer to Earth, but they made no threatening moves. They simply watched and waited. Now what? Jake asked. Now, President Johnson said, we wait for them to make the first move. On the screen, the 3 alien ships held, positioned just outside Earth's orbit. Jake could imagine the beings inside, studying humanity with cold, logical minds, deciding whether his species deserved to exist in the galaxy. The test had begun. The alien appeared on the main screen without warning. Jake had never seen a Vertai before, and the sight made him step backward. Enforcer Prime Zulmuth was tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like metal. His eyes were completely black, showing no emotion at all. When he spoke, his voice sounded like a machine. I am Enforcer Prime Zulmuth, the alien said. I speak for the Galactic Council. You will prepare for evaluation. President Johnson stepped forward. Enforcer Prime, welcome to Earth. I am President. Mary Johnson. We're ready to cooperate fully with your evaluation. Zulmuth's black eyes fixed on her. Cooperation is not required, only truth. What exactly will this evaluation involve? General Clark asked. 3 tests, Zulmuth replied. Each will measure your species' commitment to peace. You have 1 day to prepare for the first test. The screen went dark. The alien had cut the connection without saying goodbye. Friendly guy, Captain Harris muttered. Dr. Foster was already at her computer, pulling up files on Vortai testing methods. This is bad, she said after a few minutes. The Vortai believe that any species will choose violence when threatened. Their tests are designed to prove that. What kind of tests? President Johnson asked. Based on their previous evaluations, they'll create 3 scenarios. Each one will be more extreme than the last. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What happened to the species that failed? Dr. Foster's face was grim. The Torvak Confederation was quarantined 200 years ago. They're still locked in their home system. The Kefler Alliance was completely destroyed after they attacked the inspection fleet. They destroyed an entire species? Lisa asked in horror. The Vortai don't take chances with violent races. The next day brought the first test. At exactly noon, Zulmoth appeared on screens across the globe. Every television, every computer, every communication device on Earth showed his cold metal face. Test 1 begins now, he announced. You have 30 days to dismantle all military infrastructure on your planet. All weapons, all military vehicles, all defensive installations must be destroyed. The screen showed a list of everything Earth would have to destroy. Every tank, every fighter jet, every military base. The orbital defense platforms that protected Earth from asteroids. The missile systems that could shoot down dangerous space debris. If any military equipment remains after 30 days, Earth will be judged as maintaining aggressive capabilities, Zulmoth continued. The test begins now. The connection ended, leaving Earth's leaders staring at an impossible choice. He wants us to make ourselves completely defenseless, General Clark said. It's a trick, Dr. Foster said. The moment we destroy our defenses, they'll test us with something that requires them. President Johnson was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke to General Clark. Do it, Madam President. Dismantle the military, all of it. That's insane, Clark protested. We'll be helpless. No, the President said. We'll be trusting. Jake watched over the next weeks as Earth's military disappeared. Tanks were broken down for scrap metal. Fighter jets were converted into rescue aircraft. Military bases became research centers, or parks. The hardest part was the orbital platforms. Those had protected Earth for decades, shooting down asteroids and space junk that could have killed millions. But President Johnson ordered them dismantled too. If we're going to trust the universe, she said, we have to really trust it. On day 30, Zulmoth appeared again. Test 1 is complete. Earth has no remaining military capability. Test 2 begins now. A new image appeared on the screens. It showed a massive asteroid racing toward Earth. The computer projections said it would hit in 72 hours, right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The impact would cause tsunamis that would destroy every coastal city on the planet. Your species now faces extinction, Zulmoth said. You have 3 days to respond. Any attempt to use weapons technology will result in immediate quarantine. The screen went dark again. It's not real, Dr. Foster said quickly. It has to be a hologram or simulation. Are you sure? General Clark asked. No, she admitted. I'm not sure of anything anymore. Jake looked at the asteroid projection. Real or not, it looked terrifying. A rock the size of a mountain, moving faster than any bullet, aimed straight at Earth's heart. What are options? President Johnson asked. Without weapons, we can't destroy it, General Clark said. Our rockets aren't powerful enough to move. Something that big. What about the space elevator? Lisa suggested. Could we use it to get people off the planet? Not enough time, Captain Harris said. Even if we worked around the clock, we could only save a few thousand people. Jake stared at the asteroid on the screen. Something about it bothered him, but he couldn't figure out what. "Wait," he said. "Look at the composition analysis." Dr. Foster pulled up the data. "It's mostly iron and nickel, with traces of rare metals." "That's not a planet killer?" Jake said excitedly. "That's a gold mine." "What do you mean?" "President Johnson asked. "We don't destroy it," Jake explained. "We catch it." "Catch an asteroid?" General Clark looked at him like he was crazy. "Why not? It's full of materials we need. Iron for construction, rare metals for electronics. Instead of letting it hit Earth, we capture it in orbit." Dr. Foster was already running calculations on her computer. "It could work," she said. "If we used controlled explosions to slow it down, we could put it in a stable orbit." "That's using explosives as weapons," General Clark pointed out. "No," Jake said. "It's using explosives as tools." "There's a difference." "Is there?" Came Zulmoth's voice. Everyone turned. The Verti had appeared on the screen again, but this time he looked different, interested instead of cold. "You would use destruction to create?" Zulmoth asked. "We would." "Use force to preserve," President Johnson replied. "Not to destroy the asteroid, but to save it. And save ourselves." "Explain." Dr. Foster stepped forward. "The asteroid contains enough rare metals to build homes for displaced species across the galaxy. Instead of letting it become a weapon of destruction, we turn it into a tool of construction." "You would give this resource to other species?" "Of course," President Johnson said. "That's what peaceful species do. They share." For the first time, Zulmoth's expression changed. His black eyes seemed to show something that might have been surprise. "Proceed with your plan," he said. "The next 3 days were the most intense in human history." Every engineer on Earth worked on the asteroid capture project. Captain Harris led a team to set explosives around the asteroid's surface. Lisa coordinated with space stations to track its movement. Jake helped design the orbital mechanics that would trap the asteroid in Earth's gravity. When the charges went off, they lit up space like a new star. But instead of destroying the asteroid, they slowed it down just enough. The massive rock swung past Earth and settled into a perfect orbit, like a new moon made of metal and possibility. "Test 2 is complete," Zulmoth announced. "You have shown creativity in the face of destruction. Test 3 begins immediately." This time, the alien's face looked almost sad. "This test requires no preparation. It has already begun." On the edge of the solar system, new ships appeared. Dozens of them, sleek and deadly. They moved toward Earth like a swarm of angry insects. "The Void Swarm," Zulmoth said. "An ancient enemy, thought extinct. They consume all life they encounter. Your peaceful council ships cannot stop them." Jake felt his blood turn cold. "This is the real test, isn't it?" "Yes," Zulmoth replied. "You have proven you can choose peace when threatened with nature. Now we see what you choose when faced with true evil." The swarm ships moved closer. In a few hours, they would reach Earth. "What do we do?" Lisa asked. President Johnson looked at the approaching enemy fleet, then at her advisors, then at the people of Earth who were counting on her to protect them. "We fight," she said quietly. "But that's what they expect," Dr. Foster protested. "If we fight, we prove we're violent. And if we don't fight, everyone dies." General Clark said. Jake stared at the enemy ships on the screen. Somewhere out there, Zulmoth was watching, waiting to see what humanity would choose, violence or extinction. The test was about to begin. Jake watched the enemy ships grow larger on the screen. The Void Swarm moved like living things, twisting and turning as they raced toward Earth. Each ship was black as space itself, with surfaces that seemed to eat light. How long do we have? President Johnson asked. 4 hours until they reach Earth, General Clark replied. Maybe less. And the council ships? The Eternal Harmony and her escorts are moving to intercept, but they're not built for combat. They'll be destroyed. Jake looked at Zulnoth on the communication screen. The Vertaius expression had not changed, but something in his black eyes suggested he was waiting for something specific. This is the real test, Jake said suddenly. Not whether we'll fight, but how we'll fight. What do you mean? Lisa asked. The council ships are peaceful. They can't defend themselves, but we can. President Johnson nodded slowly. You're suggesting we protect the council fleet. I'm suggesting we protect everyone, Jake said. Earth. The council. Every peaceful species that can't protect itself. General Clark pulled up tactical displays. Our military is gone. We dismantled everything. Not everything, President Johnson said quietly. Tell them, General. Clark's face showed surprise, then understanding. The orbital platforms we dismantled. We didn't destroy them. We moved them. Moved them where? Dr. Foster asked. To the outer system, Clark explained. Hidden behind the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. If Earth was ever truly threatened, we could bring them back online. Jake felt a mix of relief and worry. But if we use them, won't that prove we're violent? That depends, said a new voice from the communication system. Everyone turned. Admiral Rodriguez appeared on a secondary screen. He was aboard one of the hidden orbital platforms, wearing a military uniform Jake had never seen before. Admiral, President Johnson said. Report status. All platforms operational and moving to intercept positions, Rodriguez replied. But Madam President, I need to know, are we protecting ourselves or are we protecting the galaxy? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Jake understood what Rodriguez was asking. If they fought to save only Earth, they would look selfish and violent. But if they fought to save everyone, we protect the galaxy, President Johnson said firmly. Signal the Eternal Harmony. Tell them we're coming to help. Zulnoth's image flickered. For the first time since arriving at Earth, the Vortai seemed uncertain. You will risk your lives for those who judge you? He asked. Yes, President Johnson replied. That's what good neighbors do. The next hour was chaos. Hidden military platforms emerged from behind distant moons and raced toward the battle zone. Captain Harris led a fleet of converted civilian ships, their cargo holds filled with emergency supplies for the council vessels. Dr. Foster coordinated with alien scientists to share tactical data about the void. Swarm.Jake found himself aboard the command platform Destiny, watching as Earth's secret defenses revealed themselves. It was impressive and terrifying at the same time. Humanity had not abandoned its military strength. They had simply hidden it until it was truly needed. Contact with the Void Swarm in 10 minutes, announced the tactical officer. Signal from the Eternal Harmony, the communications officer reported. They're requesting our assistance. Jake looked at the screen showing Zulnoth. The Vertai was no longer broadcasting from his ship. He was here, on the battlefield, in a vessel designed for diplomacy and exploration, not war. Enforcer Prime, President Johnson said over the radio. Fall back and let us handle the first wave. Negative, Zulnoth replied. The Council fleet will fight beside you. Your ships aren't armed for combat. Then we will learn what courage looks like without weapons. The first Void Swarm ships reached the Earth defense line. They were even more terrifying up close. Organic-looking vessels that moved like predators stalking prey. Their weapons fired streams of energy that seemed to dissolve anything they touched. But Earth's platforms were ready. Years of hidden preparation paid off as human weapons lit up space. Not the crude explosives of earlier wars, but precise energy beams and guided missiles that struck with surgical accuracy. "Target the engines," Admiral Rodriguez commanded. "Disable, don't destroy." "Sir?" came a confused reply from one of the gunners. "Those ships might contain prisoners or useful technology. We're not here to commit genocide. We're here to stop an invasion." Jake watched the battle unfold with a mix of pride and horror. Human forces fought with devastating efficiency, but they also showed restraint. When Void Swarm ships were disabled, human rescue teams moved in to check for survivors. When Council vessels were damaged, human ships shared their shields and medical supplies. It was unlike any battle in human history. Deadly but merciful. Efficient but humane. "The second wave is approaching," reported the sensor operator. This wave was larger, at least 50 enemy ships racing toward Earth. The human platforms had already used half their ammunition on the first wave. "We need reinforcements," General Clark said. "Negative," came an unexpected reply. Everyone turned to look at the communication screen. It was not Zulmoth speaking, but another alien Jake did not recognize. This one had blue skin and multiple arms. "This is Fleet Commander Veltar of the Nereid Emergency Response Force," the alien said. "We are moving to assist." "The Nereid don't have military ships," Dr. Foster said in confusion. "We have exploration vessels," Veltar replied. "And we have courage. If humans can fight to protect us, we can fight to protect them." More ships appeared on the sensors. Not just Nereid vessels, but ships from a dozen different Council species. Cargo haulers converted to missile platforms. Research vessels armed with mining lasers. Even passenger ships loaded with emergency medical supplies. "They're not fighters," General Clark observed. "They'll be slaughtered." "Then we better make sure that doesn't happen," President Johnson said. The second battle was different from the first. Human forces took the lead, using their superior weapons and tactics to break enemy formations. But behind them came the Council ships, providing support and rescue operations. Species that had never fought together worked as a unified. Fleet. Jake watched an amazing sight unfold on the tactical display. A Kelrith cargo ship used its industrial tractor beam to pull a damaged human platform to safety. A Zorian research vessel shared its advanced sensors to help human gunners target enemy weak points. Even the gentle tree-like beings from Sector 7 used their ship's root-like appendages to physically grab disabled Void Swarm vessels. "Final wave incoming," the sensor operator announced. "This one's bigger than the first two combined." Jake looked at the tactical display and felt his heart sink. Over 100 enemy ships were approaching. The combined human and Council forces had taken heavy damage in the first two battles. They could not possibly stop this many enemies. "All ships," came Admiral Rodriguez's voice over the communication system. "This is our line. Whatever happens, we don't let them pass." "Understood," replied Captain Harris from his converted cargo ship. "Ready to fight," confirmed Veltar from the Nereid flagship. "We stand together," added the voice of the tree-like beings. Jake realized he was watching something unprecedented in galactic history. Dozens of species that had never cooperated in battle, working together to defend not just their own worlds, but the entire galaxy from an ancient evil, and leading them were humans. The species the Council had feared was too violent to trust. The final battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the Void Swarm was gone. Not destroyed, but scattered. Most of their ships had been disabled and their crews captured. A few had escaped back into deep space, but they were no longer a threat to anyone. The cost had been high. Several ships from both human and Council forces were lost. But they had one dot in the aftermath, as rescue operations began and the wounded retreated. Jake found himself back in the communication center, watching Zulmoth on the main screen. The Verti looked different now. His metal gray skin seemed somehow softer. His black eyes showed something that might have been respect. "Enforcer Prime," President Johnson said, "what is your evaluation?" Zulmoth was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his mechanical voice carried new tones. "I have seen a species that could conquer the galaxy choose instead to protect it," he said. "I have seen warriors fight not for victory, but for peace. I have seen the violent choose mercy when destruction would have been easier. And your conclusion?" "Earth will not be quarantined," Zulmoth said. "Instead, the Council offers humanity a new role. You will become our guardians." Guardians? Every peaceful galaxy needs those willing to fight for peace. Every civilization of builders needs protectors. You have shown that violence and evil are not the same thing. Jake felt tears in his eyes as he watched the galactic map update on the screen. Earth was no longer marked in red as a threat. Instead, it glowed golden, a new symbol that had never been used before. "What does it mean to be guardians?" President Johnson asked. "It means," Zulmoth replied, "that when peaceful species are threatened by those who would destroy rather than build, they can call on humanity for help." "And you trust us with that responsibility?" For the first time since arriving at Earth, Zulmoth smiled. It was a strange expression on his metal face, but unmistakably genuine. "We have learned that the most peaceful species are often those who understand the true cost of war," he said. "You do not,"